Toastmasters and guests.
Good morning.
Really good to be here today. My topic today is, how do you walk through people's mind? How do you build a team, work with a team? Being a team player isn't an easy task for anyone. And walking through people's mind, it's equally not something that's easy, especially when you are in a boardroom like this and questions are thrown at you by your boss, or your colleague who is meant to stand in for you is not taking up the task as he or she is meant to. Walking through people's mind. It's a big issue for so many people in organizations, in family setting, even in religious setting. It's hard to be able to have good relationship at times with people. And you and I, you would agree with me that sometimes we pretend to get along with people. You just pretend to get along. You just wait for the few minutes that your relationship with that person will end. Few minutes for that meeting to get done with, so you can excuse yourself. But today I want us to review how to walk through people's mind, how to be a better team player, how to be able to carry out that exercise successfully. And number one thing I feel that one can use is the principle of silence. 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 Stephen Covey says that most people do not listen with the intent of understanding. They rather listen with the intent of responding. And that's what kills us. That's what kills us. Listening is another virtue in being a good team player. Silence is seen as, according to Plutarch, it says silence at the proper season is wisdom. And it's better than any speech. At times, you are able to give solutions to people when you listen to them and you're just quiet, than when you just talk and talk. Personally, I love talking. I'm an endless talker. Yeah, I enjoy talking. But I am learning to use the tool of silence and the tool of listening, because I've come to realize that in organizations, in families, what can help us to resolve issues is more of silence, of listening. We need to, number one, listen, be silent, be quiet. Yes, you have your view, you have your reason, you have your point. You know why this person should be judged. You know why this person should be disciplined. You know why this child should not be spared. But for once, just keep quiet. Let the drums in your mind go still and listen to this person's explanation. Silence heals more than speeches. Silence. Let's just keep quiet and assess the situation. Number two is listening. Number three solution to be a better team player, or to be able to work with people better or walk through their mind, is to be able to understand their temperament. It was Tim Lyon that wrote the book on the 4 temperament, and he was able to dissect temperament into four major categories, although we also have the primary and the secondary. So everyone in this room, we all have the primary and we have the secondary. The four are the sanguine, the choleric, the phlegmatic, and the melancholic. Then at some point in time when we review ourselves, we realize that, you might be a choleric sanguine, you might be a dominant sanguine and have some melancholy trait. So we need to understand. You can't understand people if you don't first understand yourself. The reason we have board meetings and the boss comes and keeps shouting and you have endless meetings without resolution is because sometimes we don't even understand ourselves and we don't understand the reason we are there. So before you are able to deal with people, You need to, first of all, understand your own temperament. Then number two, understand the persons you're dealing with. I have worked with a choleric boss before. I don't know how many of us have worked with choleric bosses. I'm a sanguine. I have another secondary trait, but a sanguine is always the life of the party. And having to work with a choleric who comes into the hall and says, Olabusola, you're so useless. What are you doing? I don't know what's happening. And he just goes like that. And some of my colleagues asked me, how do you cope with this boss? People, melancholy in the organization, some of them, they just start crying. It shreds people in seconds. Cholerics are known to be go-getters. They don't want to know who is being tread upon. They just want the job done. They have their soft spots, but then they want the job done. You know, and the phlegmatic is the nemesis of the choleric. The choleric hates phlegmatic, which brings us to the issue of dealing with people, being able to operate with people. You need to understand the weakness of that person. Once you've understood your own temperament, go a step further to understand the temperament of your spouse, of your children, of your colleague. It helps you to be a better team player. Then you work, you'll now have to balance it. Look at the strength of that person. Let your strength complement their weakness. Because if we are not careful, we'll kill people just with our words, with our countenance, with our reflections, with our assessment of them. Lastly, another thing I feel we can do. I said silence. We could use silence to be better team player. Listening, understanding temperament, and the fourth one is to compliment people. We need to compliment people more. By complimenting people, it helps to, first of all, put them in a better position of better performance, to be more effective. You become an excellent leader when you compliment your colleagues. I appreciate something about great Alexandra. Alexander the Great always compliments his soldiers before they go to battle. And on this note, I ask you to be a better person, be a better team player. There are team players and there are team players. Be a better team player. I call the Toastmasters.